So perfect. Let's go for it.
Absolutely. All right. I would say firstly, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to this launch. I hope you can all hear me well. Just to check if I can get a few hands up, if you can hear me, if the mic's doing good. All right. We live in very special times, of course, that we can. I think there's always this kind of the two, double-edged sword when it comes to these times that we're living in right now. On the one side, we can't physically be together as a launch would usually be able to be, but the advantage is that we can all tune in from our own setting, wherever you may be, and still be connected to each other. So I'm glad that we can actually do this in this setting. And most of all, I also feel privileged and honored that I get to help host or, do this session together with Amber, with Scotty, and thank you for inviting me to do so too. I'm not going to play too big of a role here either. My point is just to kind of, take things along. They're going to be telling their story and about the incredible work that they've been doing, and they will continue to do, kicking it off from here as well. I know they've prepared well for this session as well, so to really take you through to what is currently needed at this moment. So let me share a little bit of who I am, what we're going to be doing today, and I'm going to pass it over to them to take you through, with their story. So my name is Salman. I'm currently part of the board of TEDx Amsterdam. TEDx Amsterdam is a platform where we share great ideas, where we give people, let's say, the unsung heroes, a platform where they can see which not only ideas, but what things can we do to make the world a better place. One of our themes of last year has been about how do we act? How can we act in these current times? And one of the things that is, let's just say, frustrated me, but also inspired me is the times that we live in. So where we live in these kind of isolated times, and there's a lot going on around us, but it also, the frustration can grow, but it's also about how do you convert that frustration into something positive and constructive. I get to do that. I did that for 5.5 years as a consultant as well, where I worked and helped organizations becoming more impactful, but to connect together more. And then from TEDx Amsterdam, that we get to use that as a foundation that people can have a place to share these ideas, but come to action together. The reason why I'm here and getting to do this with Move to Impact is because of what their vision is, but most of all, what totally triggered me was how they brought so many different elements together. When you think about sustainability, you think about assessment, if you think about actually making impact, and then you're like, so many different elements, how do I bring it all together? I think that's the answer to the question that you'll get today. Today you'll get an answer to, but how do I do it? How do I go about it? How do I get an idea, from literally going to the assessing of it, what kind of advice comes around that? How do I build something? So they're going to talk to you and disclose a little bit more about how they do that with their own dashboard, and how do I integrate it within my own team, my organization. So you're going to get a breakdown of that in a very a beautiful visual way, so that you can be taken on board, and also about, but what can I do with it, and how can I include Move to Impact in my future plans? And I think that's what the point is as well too. So I look forward to, at least I have been inspired already, so I look forward to being inspired again by the both of them. But I'm most of all, I'm hopeful, and I'll tell you why I'm hopeful, because with everything else happening around us, I think sometimes we lose the eye on the ball of what we're trying to do, and what we're, the fact that we're trying to combine, doing work from our companies or organizations, but also see what kind of a positive impact that we can have, and the responsibility that we have. And what I love about what they've done right now is taking that responsibility. We'll talk a little bit more about why they did it and everything, but they've taken that responsibility, they've grabbed it, and they say, we're going to do something with it. And this is the outcome of it. So without a further ado, I'd like to pass it on to Move to Impact to take us through what you have today. And thank you for being here today. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for being a part of this. And looking forward to, this session where we can also connect with each other. Before you start, I mean, just sorry, I see that the two of them are like, oh, we're ready. Okay. Now, before you start, two things. I'd like you all to just write down in the chat next to you. So if you can open up the chat, and can you just write down who you are and where you're calling from? That's one part. So just write down real quick who you are, where you're calling from, so we get a bit of an idea of who's in the building. Space, whatever you want to call it. All right,
London,
cool.
Zwolle.
Nice. So just add your name and where you're coming from.
Rotterdam, Amsterdam. Yeah. Berlin.
We're going global even before we started.
Nice.
Oudkerk aan de Amstel, indeed. Perfect. Awesome.
Cool.
Hey, Geert. Yeah. Hey, Emily. Yeah, from the UK. Hey.
Yeah, great to see all of you tuning in from all the different locations. And the second question, while you're putting that one in, is if you had to think of like a couple of words or the reason why you decided to join this session, what was the spark for you to say, I'm joining, I'd like to know more about this? Just give us some words or some ideas or like a question that you maybe had, but just like, what are a few things that you thought, this is the reason why I want to be a part of this. This is why I want to join. I've been on calls all day, but I'm still going to jump in on this. Like, why is that?
Curiosity. Yes, indeed.
Right. How can we measure and motivate impact? I like that.
Well, hopefully people
Elaine?
stay curious because we don't tell a lot.
Okay, Scotty's got a fan.
Combination business with sustainability, inspiration. Yeah.
Cool.
Awesome.
I'd say keep it coming. So for the people that haven't shared where they're calling from, write it in that chat and talking a little bit more about why you're joining us. And in the meanwhile, I'd like both Scotty and Amber to take it away. And looking forward to this.
Hello, welcome. First of all, to all of you out there, thank you so much for joining. We are happy to see all of you here, and we are looking forward to share all our tools, preparations, and everything we made for you in the last months to show our launching customer and all the parts of that. And welcome. My name is Scotty. I'm the part of being the visual sustainability consultant in the part of Move to Impact. And I'm sitting here with
Amber, and I'm the data-driven part of Move to Impact. And we have, of course, a wonderful team behind us, but we're the co-founders.
Yes. And what drove us basically to found Move to Impact is that me working on sustainability or visual sustainability and the operational part of companies, I was thinking like, hey, how can you incorporate it more and help companies to drive their business towards sustainability? But what was your question, Amber?
Well, I'm helping organizations with getting insights into their organization with KPI dashboards, but normally it's more about operational and financial KPIs. And I was curious, like, how can you become a better company, like for your employees or like for society in whole? It's not just about the numbers. So, and then I found Scotty again.
Like we met in our master the first time, and we reconnected during the summer. And we said, like, actually, in my work, actually, a lot of data is missing to drive companies. And Amber said, like, oh my God, this sustainability and visual part makes it so much more insightful and practical with the data I'm working. We're like, we have to combine it. We directly combined it. The first prototype was done within an hour. And from that, it was started. Like, we are like here for like 3 months, 4 months. We worked on it like 24/7, basically. And now we're sitting here with you guys to make companies more impactful in their way forward and faster to become a sustainable business and to take really everyone along, because no one of us really does it on their own, because we need all the ideas and parts in a company to really go forward. And we help you with the tools we developed to take everyone along. And in order to do so, and because we can talk about it like for hours and hours, we want to shorten it for you and created a short animation video of 1 minute for you to get a short insight and to kick things off even more. So Amber is loading this right now and sharing the screen in a second with you. Are you an organization that wonders how it can become more sustainable? You want to set new goals for people, planet, and profit, but don't know where to start and what actually supports your unique business? We are Move to Impact, and we are here to help.
We move your business towards sustainable impact by connecting people and data. You get support in creating, monitoring, and connecting sustainable KPIs. By using a visual approach, we make them easy to understand for everyone in the organization. We do that in 4 steps. First, we assess your sustainability status. Then we advise and plan a personalized sustainability strategy. We build a visual sustainability monitoring dashboard. And fourth, we support you to integrate the process and stimulate a curious change mindset. Are you curious and want to know more? Visit us at movetoimpact.com.
That's it. No.
All right. So that's I think it's already getting, maybe teasing everyone into more and more about what you're going to be sharing as this continues. And there's a lot of questions or curiosity so far, and great work with the video. Just curious, because there's a few questions that already people have started to ask about how do we measure sustainability goals. You know, how do you, people that are, for example, themselves starting in some kind of an impactful initiative, and where a lot of us are struggling with about this kind of the data, you know, part of things. So gathering the data, and the other part, which is about, you know, we all sincerely, I think we're all good-hearted, at least I think most of us are. There might be a few dark sides here, but that's fine. But we all wanted. No, I'm not on a bad day. But we all are trying to make some kind of an impact. We're trying to look at how in the word sustainability is almost overused, but the intention behind it is to do some kind of a good and look at the impact of the work that we're, you know, that of the steps that we make or the decisions that we make. And so I guess we're all navigating through that. I'd love you to just take us through about how this all works, how you looked at it, and how you've made that easier, actually.
I think that's the easiest way to directly dive. I think the assessment part and the advising part, I think will speak for itself. But I think which is easy and really practical for you guys to see is the dashboard we created so far as a dummy data, and creating now for our launching customer as well. Now you already see our prototype dashboard. We are definitely, or most of all, really trying to create the balance within companies and their vision to do it really on the people, planet, and profit part. That's what you're seeing in front of you as well. Normally, a company has a vision, but they also have data. So we really help the 20% of a company who actually drives the company with their data to connect it with the other 80%. What is the factory worker saying about it? Do they actually know which data is used to actually steer the company or help the company move forward? So we help them to create the KPIs on people, planet, and profit, which you can see here. On the left side, the profit part, how can you grow sustainable? Then on the people side, for example, is how can you create a healthy work environment? And for example, on the planet side, how can you improve your product within the planetary boundaries? But which KPIs can you use for that? And where is your company at the moment? We help really realistically look at companies and say hey, this is the step you can take, which helps your company to grow, but also moves you towards the sustainable step and implements not only the profit KPIs, but also the people and planet KPIs.
Yeah, so to make it clear what we meant with assess, advise, build, and integrate, we start with this workshop, design thinking workshop. Well, first we start with assessment, and then we're going to have some interviews with key persons within your organization to talk about what's the sustainability level, how's the change culture, to get a bit of a feeling how sustainable is your company already. And after that, we do some workshops to deep dive into the mission and the vision and to the goals and targets. And with those targets, we're really going to see, okay, what's the sustainability roadmap going to be for your company? And based on that roadmap, we define KPIs that will be in the sustainability monitoring dashboard. So for example, here we look at, for example, for the burnout cost. if your company has a target like we need to lower those costs, you need to have them visible every day. And now it's just a normal number, but it can also be like a graph to see the trend. And based on here, if you click here, you can see, you can already zoom into, okay, April, of May, June, can already play with the numbers. But what's the most important thing? You have those three pillars, like people, planet, and profit. But we also want to show that there are certain connections. And kind of a disclaimer, this is dummy data, so the connections don't really make sense. But for example, you can connect the data from profit and planet, for example, and show them next to each other. Like, okay, is there a certain trend in revenue, and does that have any effect on the emission per order or the energy intensity per order? When you put them together, you can see patterns, and with those patterns, you can really decide, do we have to change something if the revenue is going up, but we are also taking more from the planet by putting in more emission in there? Are we still doing good? And that's kind of the question we want people to ask if they look at the information we give them, like, are we really doing that good?
Yeah, and in that sense, for like most of the times right now, it's done just with the profit part. Like these sentences we just said, like it's like, oh yeah, they sound so familiar to me, but it's because like we just use them on one part of the scale, on the money-driven part of a company. But we are all clever enough to have the criteria to like also do good for the planet and be socially really aware and do something good for our society, but also for our colleagues, for our employees, because they are actually like bringing out the data. So the connection and like seeing the connection between the data in the three pillars, that's the new part in it, and really to make it measurable and show it that actually like everyone has the same like North Star KPIs, basically, like it's really like the focus of it, makes it so much more simpler to understand. And like you see here, you see yourself in there, like, oh yeah, I'm actually the person who's like working long hours and maybe have like struggles right now with burnout, or like don't feel happy with it. Like, should I say something? What is the part in here, and how is it influencing the company, basically? That's really interesting.
Do this overview, but we also have those, we want to create deep dives for the people, the planet, and the profit. For example, here with the people, really look into, okay, how is the salary by gender or by origin, the average salary per job level, is it the same for female and males? Those are all sustainable development goals we decided on globally, but how does your company act on it? Are you really doing it, or just saying, yeah, I want to be a sustainable company, we give 100 euros to charity each year, so we're great? Like, we really want to make people look into it, like, are we really that great?
Yeah. And one other part is, for example, that you can stimulate people looking at it, like employees looking at it, with questions in there as well. So, for example, that you as like managers or CEOs of the company, they say basically like, hey, what is the connection between employee happiness and our company's growth, for example? And there you can send in an email as like stimulation as employee of the company, to say like, hey, this is how I actually think this is looking like, that you actually like can create the next steps and grow together forward. Yeah, and these are just a couple of functionalities basically within the dashboard. We can like grow it further, since it's like a visualization, for example, like that you have a general target in the end of the year, and we can show like, hey, you just like reach 10% of it, and then you can reach 100% of it, or something like that. That's all possible, and different elements can be added on the functionality level of the company.
And so that's why we have those workshops to really look in towards what is your organization objective, your goal, your like North Star KPI, and what do you need in order to become a sustainable company. And the production company has other needs than the service consultancy company. So we're really going, we deep dive into the service or the mission and the vision of the company, and then see, okay, how can we incorporate the people, the planet, and the profit part, and what are targets? So really put in targets there, so you can really go work towards the goal, instead of just trying something at the end of the year, put it in your annual report, we tried something, and
Yeah, so you're trying to at least make sure that people go beyond the, let's say, the so-called greenwashing and saying like, you know, yeah, we're trying to do a good job, and really dive into the details and into the the more the nitty-gritty, but in a very visual, clear way that interlinks a lot of different things together. I'm just curious though, if you say that there's a lot of, so how would a company be stepping in when you say like, okay, we want to take you on this journey with us? How does one step in when working with Move to Impact? What are like ways that you want to kind of take people with you?
The starting level is when you are definitely there that you want to become a sustainability company. Like, we're not there to like get you there and saying like, oh, you should become. No, there should be the starting point. Like, I'm convinced that's where we are going, but I don't know how to go there. Please help me on like where to make the steps, and to also help them with like the mindset, like, oh, sustainability just costs money, like, and I can't like actually use it for actually like create more value for my company. No, we are there to make the practical and simple steps to add it with your existing KPIs, so that you actually can become a successful, sustainable company, and not just like, oh, I have to add it on really quickly because the regulations are coming, or there's pressure from society, or from new talents coming in and saying like, oh yeah, we want to have like a transparent company who is sustainable. No, we want to help you to grow there in the steps your company needs.
Yeah, and also if you have a sustainability manager or sustainability lead, and they often feel like they're the project team and they have to take care of it, and the rest of the company is like, yeah, we have a sustainability team, they'll take care of it and they'll do it. But we want to integrate them all in having the same insights, but also getting common goals. Since if the sustainability team needs to have, needs to reduce something, but the sales team needs to just put on pressure on it, well, they get like this internal fight, like, yeah, but we have our own goals and we want to connect them and see, okay, we have this common goal and let's work towards it together.
No. I'm just curious, are there any questions that are coming up from everyone right now when you've seen this kind of dashboard, you see how it worked? And again, it's a quick run through of it, so I can imagine there's a lot of details to unpack. But if you think of this and you think of what what Move to Impact is trying to do, I also have a specific question I'm going to be asking them in a bit. But what are questions that are coming up within you right now? Something you'd like to know more about, something that you're curious about, something that you think would help you personally with the work that you're doing at this moment. Maybe like they just shared, they said, we're looking for companies that already are wanting, they're beyond motivation. So we've got the motivation, but now it's about how do we do it? So what questions come up for you? Just curious.
I already see, is this a possibility for small companies? Well, it definitely is, because it's not about how big or small you are, it's about your targets, your goals, and each company has goals. And even for smaller companies, it's even simpler, because you have a smaller group that needs to work towards the same goal. So and the data is there, because every company is measuring their profit, hopefully. If you have energy bills, transport costs, we can extract those and see if this is positively or negatively impacting the environment. And for example, the salary, well, you need to pay the salary as well. We can do some surveys to measure the employee happiness. So it doesn't matter how big or small you are. I mean, it's even simpler the smaller you are.
Then I saw a question. Yeah, no, go ahead, Sam.
No, go ahead. You saw a question.
I saw a question about the carbon footprint, like how are we approaching that, since that's like a main topic, and also coming up with like governmental regulations. Like you have like the different steps in like being sustainable or going there. It's more in the sense of like measuring it first, then reducing it, and then actually like compensating it. These are the 3 steps in most of the sustainability parts. And with that, we assess basically where you're at, and depending on where you're at, we are setting the targets at that point, basically, and to help you grow within the next level and see what is actually like capable for your company. What did you see, Halsaman?
No, I was just also kind of, I think I wanted to dive into a couple of them too. Let me see, maybe about when it comes to how to quantify the targets, and how that links, for example, to employee happiness and growth. Like, if there's any ideas or thoughts behind that.
Can you repeat the question?
Yeah, no, it was about how do you how do you quantify the targets? So like, if you're making targets, how do you put them into numbers? How do you make those goals with your team? So like, maybe just think of an example or something like that people can understand. Like, okay, when you're making that assessment, how do we, what numbers come to? How do you make those numbers with them? How do you get those?
It really depends on the company culture, since some companies really like people to have their own autonomy, make the decisions, while others really embrace going into a team and do it together. So based on the company's culture, you also have different KPIs. So that's why we really have this custom process, so it fits the company we're working with. But we will always think, okay, how are we going to use or create data to facilitate a dashboard, since we cannot show a dashboard if there's no data. But by thinking of an easy way to do some service, even like a Google or Microsoft form, we keep it low key, since you don't have to implement like 5 tools in order to get our dashboard. We really want to focus on that the company does what it does, but in a sustainable way.
Does it make sense, or are there more questions about it?
Yeah, I was just thinking about a couple of other questions that came up, which was, so like, this is your dashboard that you're using. So when people, like, for example, there's a lot of companies that have their own dashboards. What are, how do you work with like a company that has their own, or they're trying to figure things out? Like, I think there's another question in between, so I'll combine two, which is, if they don't have anything set up yet, is that something that you can help them set up?
Well, what we did, we already had a launching customer, and which is a startup, the Share Council. It's a startup which has created software for co-ownership. So you can really give your employees shares, so everybody gets a part of the profit. Since they found out it's really hard to give shares to your employees, or you have to go to the notary, which is costing more than maybe the shares you want to give away. So what we did, we helped them with the workshop. We did the assessment and the mission and vision workshop, the KPI workshop, because they wanted to become B Corp. I don't know whether you know what's a B Corp.
Well, maybe we can just check who does not know what a B Corp is. Maybe just either a show of hands or something. You can also do the signal via Zoom, so we just get a bit of an idea of people that do not know what a B Corp is. So far, I see one person doesn't. The rest do, I think. Is that right? Did I?
It's just in short, basically, it's a certification for businesses to show that they actually have the people, planet, and profit guidelines, basically, and that they fulfill a specific level of being a sustainable business, like, for example, for products like fair trade or something like that. That's a good comparison for that.
Yeah. So I'm curious though, like the two of you've decided to kind of put in, let's just say, all your chips into this. What was your motivation to say this is something that we're both going to just put our heads together and I mean, I'm very, I think it's a very courageous step to make, to say we're going to go all into this. But what was that motivation behind that? Why did you decide to go for this?
For me, it's I'm an extreme team player, and I'm getting the most happiness and joy out of creating joy for others and helping others and working together. I worked in the corporate world, I worked in the startup world. I never got so much happiness than working on sustainable projects, because I see it actually connects people so deeply. Even older colleagues, they said, like, to customers, they're like, oh, I'm just standing here for this project because Gadi was like so enthusiastic, like she really wants it, and I'm so driven by it, working with her together. I love to bring people together on this topic and bringing, this future, this new business world together. Yeah.
Cool. And Amber, what about for you?
Well, I already mentioned before that when I was creating the dashboard for organization, really missing like the human aspect of it, and that's also a hard thing. Normally, if people think about quantifying things, it's always putting things into number, and feelings are hard to quantify. But by creating this atmosphere of doing it together and putting in some KPIs in there that really force people to think about, okay, be social, be good to the planet, be good to each other, ask your customers what they think. Those are, if you set them as targets, people have to live to it, or at least set a goal. And if you have a goal, you have to work towards it. So by making it important, and with Move to Impact, we force people to make it important.
Yeah.
When you think about the people, the planet, and okay, profit is important as well, since you cannot have a business without profit. But
no.
You cannot just take everything from the world to become the rich company while you're putting in like gas and taking energy. And I was reading some things with the coal mines that they took coal, and they earn a lot of money on it. But if you quantified the cost they would make to the environment, the cost would be much higher than the profit they make. So are you then profitable? And that was what really inspired me to join this girl here.
Yeah, and I think it was also, even Ronald was sharing something about, like, if you increase renewable energy, but you're using, like, I think this was an example, not that the Chinese made solar panels with low wages. To what extent is that sustainable? So how do you look at the entire supply chain when it comes to events like that? It makes me curious, and I think there's some very good specific questions in there, but just before, there's maybe some that you want to dive in yourself. But the one that I had is, you've kicked this off. If we're back here in a year and you both have those very same champagne glasses that you have with you right now as well, and we had to celebrate something, what would you want to celebrate? What would you think? What is it that that you both want to accomplish with this?
Yeah, what we definitely want to accomplish, it's not within a year, because like we are wanting to thinking big, and we have to think big all together, like for the sustainability transition. It's really like that we want to offer within 5 years to 1 million people simple and easy tools to grow and set up their sustainability business. So 1 million people within 5 years. So that's the goal. So
maybe it sounds a bit unrealistic, but what we mean is we want to give companies the insights in their goals and force them to. But what we also want to do is create an annual report we're going to help a lot of companies, and we're going to see a lot of data and also see how are they performing on those KPIs. So what we want to do is we want to make an annual report to show how our customers are doing on the people, on the planet, and the profit part, to see if there are some connections, and maybe we can set this new standards to show other organizations. Yeah. Hey, if you improve your if you improve the goals on the people part, so really care for your customers and society and your employees, your profit's going up. And now it sounds logical, but we want to prove it with data.
Yeah. And
Nice.
specifically in 1 year, we set our target as well to reach this million, to create an open source possibility to like a small standard for smaller companies. Like the question was as well, for startups to have like a sort of dashboard as well, to bring the data with it as well. To help everyone basically, or more companies with it, and to grow the knowledge about it, what kind of KPIs and sustainable insights employees but also managers of companies need to become more sustainable.
Yeah, I think it was Chirto saying it's always good to be ambitious in these kind of things, and I have to agree.
Yeah.
I think it's always good to have a moonshot. That's something like, this is what we're going to go for. And and one more thing that I was curious about, like, so you've got, I know I've understood at least, you've got a limited amount of spots for intakes. So you have, so people that are in this call and they're like, I want to get interested. I would say you're going to share how they can get a spot for an intake. But which organizations are you filtering out? So which ones would you like to work with the most? I think you shared a bit about it, about those that are like already motivated. But tell us a little bit more about the ones that you really would like to continue working on and using this dashboard for and putting in your effort.
Well, organizations that have their processes in place, since in order to make a dashboard, you need standard data, and then people have to do, follow a process in order to get to that data. And if organizations, I know every organization is struggling with the process, so please don't feel offended, but if there are no process at all, it's hard to collect data in a standard way or even get people together. It's like if you have like a finance department, it can only be 1 or 2 people, but somebody who's really going to take care of it, that it's okay, that there's something about it, and not like, oh yeah, I don't know, we do that twice a year, and then it doesn't really make sense to make a dashboard on. If you don't have if you don't update your frequent information.
And definitely, indeed, companies not only who want to become sustainable, but also in the next step to say like, hey, there are also companies who want to become a B Corp company or like a certified company, for example, Planet Mark or Future Fit. At the moment, we developed a B Corp assessment tool, which we went through with our Launching Customer Share Council, to make it much more easy to become a B Corp. Like what Amber just said, like just give me another second, and then we will go to the tool. It's really hard for companies at the moment to have an overview actually how to become a B Corp organization. Most of the companies directly see like, oh, indeed, I have to have my processes together, and it's so costly. Like, how do I get there? It's really complicated. We built a tool that you actually see like, hey, where are you indeed with your score? How many points you can reach, and what kind of questions actually helps you to get there. So go ahead, Amber, just show them.
Into this, like we did this with a startup, and they don't really, startups don't have this years of processes, so we can help startups becoming a B Corp as well.
Yeah.
Just curious, are there any startups amongst us? And if they are, could you just kind of just throw your names in the chat? That'd be great to see which ones are here, so we can also, it's also a good way to just share what you're doing if you're a startup. So like maybe just add a little for those people that are in startups or are part of one. And in the meantime, Amber, go ahead.
Yeah, well, this is the B Impact Assessment tool, and for the companies that already, for the people who are already familiar with becoming a B Corp, you have to go through an assessment and get at least you can get 200 points, but you have to get at least 80 points in order to become B Corp certified. And what we did with the Share Council is we asked them to fill in this online tool from the B Corp, and to then export the data out of it. And what you can see here as well, the B Corp says the dark blue lines are the points you can, points are available for it, And the turquoise one, is that good English?
Turquoise, yeah. Yeah, just to give you a short heads up, when you want to become a B Corp, you fill out the form and then you get your points at the moment, and then good luck to yourself, become a B Corp and try to like fulfill these steps to become there. That's what normally is there basically from the B Corp platform, and that you can see like, oh, I have to fulfill like what kind of questions, and we made them much more measurable and structured for you.
Yeah, so in this tool you can also see, okay, where are the gaps? What do we need to improve? And here are even the questions that they ask, like the impact assessment. And then here we have the, okay, if you click on it, okay, what is the question and what are the answer possibilities? And if you want to have the perfect score, we identify, okay, this page is only about the gaps. So these are the things that the Share Council needs to work on. And here you can immediately see, okay, if they want to have, well, again, have the low-hanging fruits, then if they focus like just on the financial security, then they would already have enough to become a B Corp, since you need 80 points out of, and the points available here are not 200 since they are a startup, so you cannot have the full points as a startup, since when you get bigger, it of course gets more complicated to be sustainable in all kinds of ways.
Yeah, so you've created a realistic threshold to work towards, understanding like that's as far as you can get at this moment. I think there was a question about what definition of a startup, and I was just like, my definition is at least within the, like, you know, you're still in your first 5 years, but again, it's very open to interpretation. I do not want to be quoted on that is the definition. I think one startup in between us, Table Sage, is shared that they're in that phase. But I think what I love what you've done is you've made the data visual and beautiful, which makes it very, I like working with things that I can at least understand. I can see it easily, click on it, and then get a little bit more information afterwards. I'm curious, are there any B Corps amongst us right now who are on this call? And is this something that you think, this is something that I could definitely integrate or use within that, or any questions that come up? Just opening it up if there's anybody there. Okay.
Is there any organization who wants to become a B Corp?
That was funny, like the digital equivalent was like a phone buzzing. You're like, okay, all right, let's go to the next part. But is there any organization that says we're making that step towards becoming a B Corp? Or is everyone totally
just like, no, we're happy.
We're good.
We're happy. We're happy. Yeah, let's go.
Just thinking. Okay, so Ilse's doing it for a client. Cool.
Yeah. Ilse, we are in contact already with each other. Yeah.
So let's just go to the step that if people, if the people that have joined this call, and I think Xavier said he just joined in a little bit late, if they want to jump in and they want to work with you, what's the next steps that you propose to them? So how do we go about that?
Yeah, the next step is definitely, we have a link set up for you, which you can see in a second in our chat, where you can just basically put in your preferred date, and or click one of the dates which are in there. Please do it soon, because like even already for the launch, a couple of customers already like approached us, and actually really our agendas are filling up, and we're like, okay, this is really taking off. We're crazy excited, not super surprised, but really happily sitting here and saying like, hey, please enroll soon, that we can get in contact with you. Yeah, that's like the direct way, basically. Yeah, otherwise just look at our website, which is directly live after the session. We had like just enroll button for the session so far, but afterwards you directly can basically look on our website and can go there. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think there's a question that's been popping up with the last chats, which is about becoming a B Corp. And a lot of organizations are right now working on that question. So do you want to just dive in a little bit about next to the assessment, about how you, I mean, maybe you already shared it in the dashboard already, but the first steps that they can take?
Yeah, we have we made a kind of a booklet of what do you need in order to become a B Corp, and really combine them into, okay, this, you can give this to HR, you can this can be given towards the financial manager, since everybody has to do something in order to become a B Corp. It's not like you have this project manager, okay, take care of it, and he or she can do it all by him or herself. It's a change management process in order to become a B Corp, since you have to make sure that you know what's the emission of your company. You have to know at least your finance should be transparent within the whole company. So you cannot be the company anymore that says, I don't know the numbers, that's up to finance. Everybody should be able to look into them. And they say, well, of course you shouldn't have to give them like the whole world, but at least be transparent towards your employees. And I think, well, I don't think it's in the B Corp statement that they want companies to be transparent, to be about everything they do. So about what they do for their workers, what they do for the community, what they do for the environment, what they do in governance for the customer. It's about transparency, and that's why we feel like we can help people or organizations become a B Corp, since we are also working on becoming transparent about your sustainability. But we don't want to see B Corp as the final destination. Things, since it's a certification, but we want to really embrace it into the culture, and that's what we are trying to accomplish with the workshops and creating action lists together, a season plan, and based on the things we see in the dashboard, we can, like on a frequent basis, look into it and think of different actions in order to really get to those targets we set in the workshops.
Yeah, so I think a lot of people are like, I think hands are itching to get their hands on a nice dashboard that can finally make things clear. And I think what you've done, and at least if I try to summarize it for myself, and if I look at the work that I do or have done, and companies and organizations that I have worked with, is that we're often looking about how do you bring a combination of the certifying yourself as a B Corp and what's needed for that, looking at things like the Sustainable Development Goals and the impact they want to make. And I think it was Xavier said also something about, let me just look back at the comments, about the SDG Action Manager, which is also a way of looking at, impact that you can make, but also bringing this people, planet, and profit. And you put it all into kind of one somewhat overviewed, summarized, platform and dashboard where you can fill in the data and you can kind of work with that and create goals together, which of course you will guide the organizations with. Just checking if there's, I know we couldn't approach all the questions, we've got a limited time, and also some questions I think need a lot more unpacking than just what was asked. Just to check if there's any last comments or questions, or just maybe something you'd like to share after you've heard this presentation. Some people said they wanted to hear more about what Move to Impact is going. What's maybe to make it more specific, I'd love to hear from everyone about what's the one thing that you took from this this kickoff, this launch, this introduction, that you're like, I've got a new insight, I've understood something a little bit better, or I want to take a next step. What's the one thing that you take from this? It can be a word, it can be an action. What's one thing you like? Yeah, this is also invigorated me. I mean, again, you're also on this call at this late afternoon from whichever part of the world. So, what did you take from this?
Thomas, there is a demo dashboard right now on the homepage. You can click through the ones we showed.
Yeah, and also in the meanwhile, while everyone is typing on the website, you can also find like a short sustainability assessment part to just like check in, like, hey, to already get stimulated on how to be more sustainable in your company. Just click through it as well. There is a button like do a sustainability assessment. It's just short, within 10 questions to stimulate you to directly go further in that on our website. That definitely is in there.
And we also just put in a link with a form where we really want you to fill in, okay, what are you thinking? What is the biggest question? And so we know.
Yeah, you can. We also put now in the chat basically on hey, what? Yeah, a little questionnaire as well for us. Like, hey, what are you thinking about? What are your challenges in that? So you can find that in the chat box as well.
All right.
They got inspired how visualizing impact numbers can actually trigger more action. Yes, perfect. Simplicity and visibility, very good and helpful for companies. Thanks. Keep the energy. Definitely, we'll keep the energy up.
Yeah, I think a couple of people that also want to already collaborate with you, so I hope they can take a lead from this point as well.
Yeah.
And nice that Ronald's saying about that it can be done.
Perfection, yeah.
And I have to agree with Chert as well, which is about like, and also I think Jansu said it too, which is like it's useful, it's accessible, you know, it's an integrated and a visualized approach. And again, I don't know, like I don't know about many of you, but I feel almost hungover from 2020, and it just feels like it's dragging on. Like the first week, I still felt like it was just like still recovering from it, or it's still moving forward. What's in a number? But I also feel like it's things like this that give me hope and also make me feel like we don't have to just stand idle and let things happen and let like the world degrade down into whichever form. We say, no, we can actually take action, and we've got more tools to do that and things that can actually be easily accessible and can be integrated, but also are applicable and practical. So thank you for being able to share that with us. You've shared the form that people can form in. They can also make an appointment with you. You've got a dashboard example on the website as well. Any last things you'd like to share with this community while they're here on this call?
We definitely want to invite, to contact us. Obviously, that's why we're doing the launch, and are happy to spread the word as well. We put again our questionnaire in the chat box, and we definitely want you to work and collaborate as much people as possible. Not only with us, you know, like just ask your open questions. What is sustainability? How are people sustainable? How are other people sustainable? There was a chat question of like, are you open to collaborate with other companies? Yes, we are open to collaborate with other companies. As we all should.
The point.
As we all should be. Like, definitely, let's make that a standard for everyone to like be open for that, because no one of us can do it alone. Like, we all have to like go forward in connecting and learning and working together. And that's definitely a part. That's what we want to be open with, and that's why we also have the goal of creating annual reports and open source parts to make it really available and transparent for more people. Like, we will create our own dashboard as well for ourselves, that you guys have an idea where our KPIs are. That will come in the next months. Yeah, we have B Corps we are going to work with, which are already in the pipeline, which is really exciting, and which helps us learning as well, to bring more and connected KPIs together. So we're crazy excited for this, and we want to take you all on the journey with us and want to help you to become sustainable businesses.
Our name is Move to Impact for a reason.
And I think there's a couple of questions that might want to be approached directly with individuals. So we'll save the chat. I see Thomas also asking about where the, the numeric goals can be set and monitored in the dashboard. So I think what we'll do, Thomas, is maybe just good to have one-on-one contact about how that specifically looks, whether that's possible or not. But thank you for asking it, because it's good while it's fresh in mind for them to take it with them. Here's the thing. This is the call for you all. Like, if you're, I don't know, in some meeting, either with your startup or within your own company, and everyone's like, damn it, I wish we had a dashboard. At that point, that's the point when you go, I know where we can get a dashboard like that. And there should be only one answer. I don't know, that sounded very promotional. It wasn't.
But Sama, like for the end as well, as like a board member of TEDx, come on. Challenge us. What is like a thing for you as well, where you're like, come on, ladies, what's going on over here? What is something we should answer for you?
Well, I think okay, good question. So that's if that's how you want to end. No. Okay. So by the way, this is not scripted, everyone. Just so you know, everyone thinks that we didn't script this. So one thing that comes to my mind, I think, is someone kind of, or one or two people already asked that question, which is, what makes you unique compared to all those other companies and organizations that are sharing like, yeah, we got a dashboard and we got this all integrated and all that stuff. What is it that makes you different? What really, like, saying like, oh, again, you've still got, a bunch of people on this call with us right now.
Yeah.
What is it? Why should they choose you? What makes you, like the USP or whatever you want to call it?
Yeah. For me personally, what I think and Amber, I'm interested on the next question as well for you, is for me, it's really like to combine the visual aspects and the sustainable one, to like trying to connect it and help them to go there, but actually with the visualizations make employees curious of what's going on. I've been in so many visual thinking, design thinking sessions with like visual visions and missions afterwards, where people like standing in front of it have so many questions and want to see and want to be engaged and want to help, and to combine it actually with targets for sustainability. It's so amazing to see how people are reacting to it and be amazed by it. And I think that drives it really forward. Like other companies which are in our sector, they don't have the visual and sustainability aspect in there, as we are guiding people with the visualizations and connection part on the KPIs.
And on top of that, there aren't a lot of people who know how to really develop a dashboard which is real time and know about businesses and know about sustainability. Since, did you ever do an IT project? Because most of the time people are like, well, those technical guys, they don't get anything. And well, I'm the lucky one who will into IT, and but I did the IBA and then the management consulting. So we start with the business user and we know how the business thinks. And I'm like, okay, here you have your dashboard and it works and it's technically fine, but everybody's looking at it like, well, we don't use it because we don't get it.
Yeah. And another part in that is also good. Like, we are a female-founded company, and with that, just working with us together actually raises your B Corp points with 13 points. Just working
working with women,
no,
with us,
but working with our dashboard, like what we are implementing with you together, just by doing our process, it just raises your B Corp points within 13 points, which is 16.3%. So,
if anybody's on 67 points, then they're like, well, this is my ticket out. Then I get to become a B Corp. I hit 80.
That's what it is for the share council. They're really like, oh, we're nearly there. That's like within the next quarter, we be able to hopefully do that. That's amazing to see, and good to see in their faces. Like Sarah just said in the chat, like, thank you so much for the compliment as well. They're happy to work with us and see how actually reachable this target is really soon.
Yeah, cool. All right, I'm just checking, like, any other last things to share or to add. I think we've kind of tried to complete the story. I hope you've all been able to see that I'm trying not to make it too easy for them in this during this launch, but I think they've done great so far. I'll sign off, at least maybe from my part for now, just checking if that's okay. I'll just say thank you for having me here. There's a question about whether this recording is going to be available. I'm not sure if you want to answer that. Yes, it will be. What I think most of all, though, I would like you all to say is, like, we gather in places like this and such sessions to think of because we're all like-minded and spirited in some form or not. And I love that part. And sometimes I just kind of feel the pain of not being able to really connect with each other on a physical form. But as a solace of that, I think it's nice that we can do this, that we can still try to strive towards the bigger goals that we have, how we can do that together. And I just want to compliment both Scotty and Amber for the work that they've done. I look forward to seeing what you're able to do. There's a few shaking there for you too as well. And I'd say get in touch with them. And I look forward to seeing where Move to Impact will be. And in a year's time, I look forward to grabbing a drink together, maybe even in a physical space if that's possible. We all have a vaccination. We have our vaccination passes in one hand and the drink in the other. Then we can celebrate about the work you've done last year. So thank you for having me. It's been awesome seeing this, and thank you all for your questions. Any other one-on-one questions, you can get in touch with you. And yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much, Saman, for being here and challenging and interviewing us. Thank you all for being here and wanting to know more, and looking forward to meet all of you via email and more video calls for now. Thank you so much. And we will end it here as well, and we'll look forward to answer also a couple of questions we saw in the chat via email, and we'll get back to you as well afterwards. The website is live now afterwards directly, and thank you so much for my part.
Well, same.
Giving you the last word, Amber, sorry.
Thanks, and see you soon, I think.
Yes. Have a lovely evening. Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone. Bye-bye.